And I look for my diagonal control, looking for that half claw grip. The elbow is now opened up in response to my crotch lock breakdown. Now if we use my half claw grip, I pick his head up off the floor. I put in my choking arm to control the head. Now I have my seatbelt. Now last but not least, I undo the outside lockdown and I put my left hook in. And I have the back. So that's all the lower body recoveries. We looked at situations where they beat the bottom hook, situations where they beat the bottom knee, situations where they beat the top hook, and situations where they beat the top knee. Now, we're going to move on to the next section of the video. Recovering back control when our opponent starts escaping the upper body, when they start beating the seatbelt. We're going to look at this both from the choking side, and we're going to look at this from the control side. Let's look at the choking side first. Remember that I want to keep a seatbelt, so I have a thread of a choke on one side, and I have control on the other. I'm keeping the head trap, so his head is stuck between my head and my choking arm. That's what's going to be that's what will allow me to go through and get the finish. From this position, something Adam might do is he might beat the head trap to the choking arm side. He might go 2-on-1, pick my elbow up off the floor, just like so. That's a great escape. When he beats the choking arm, I want to make sure once again that I don't lose this elbow position. If Adam gets his elbow to the floor between me and him, you've lost the back. It's going to be very hard to take the back now. So when he beats, like so, I'm going to take my left hand, and I shoot my left hand over the far shoulder as deep as I can. I don't just grab the shoulder, because that keeps my elbow kind of loose. He might still be able to get this elbow in. So I'm going to take my hand, I'm going to shove my hand as deep as I can until I feel my shoulder, my left shoulder, going deep into the pocket of Adam's shoulder. And I can dig my hand underneath the head now. So I have a nice tight grip here. Okay? Now from here, I can look to prop up on an arm. I can look to reestablish my control, reestablish my choking arm position, and reestablish control. So, I'm sorry, let me go back here. So I'm here, he beats the choking arm. The problem is he beat the choking arm. I've got to get the choking arm back. But the first thing I have to do is stop the escape. So I stop the escape by taking my arms up over the head. So watch how both my arms go up. And as both my arms go up, my left arm reaches deep, like so. Getting my hand underneath the head. Getting tight with my shoulder to his shoulder. Now I could prop up, but I'm sorry, I wouldn't prop up first, I'm sorry. I'm just going to pummel my arm back to a good position. All I'm going to do, driving my right elbow into the floor to get some power, I'm going to lift his head and slide my right arm back underneath. And I have my choking arm reestablished. So once again, he beats it. I go here, deep, pick up, and repummel. Okay? Another thing I could do is a half claw grip. Let's say he beats the grip. Now let's say I can't get over the far shoulder. Maybe he starts hand fighting this hand. Maybe he thump posts him in the wrist. Yes, and I can't get over the far shoulder. So let's go back. So as soon as I feel that happening, maybe I try to go over the far shoulder, I realize it's not going to happen. I come to the near shoulder, and I take a half claw grip. This keeps me tight to Adam's left elbow. Adam goes to get his left elbow between me and him. My left claw grip holds me tight to him. Now I'm going to use this left claw grip to pick his head and shoulders up off the floor, and I recover my choking arm position. Once again, he escapes. I want to go to the far shoulder, but I feel that's not working. He's hand fighting. So then I bring my hand to the near shoulder. So we have a half claw grip. Now from here, Adam puts his head on the floor, his back on the mat. But I can always use this half claw grip to start to pull him back up. Arm goes underneath. Now we reestablish control. So that's if he beats my choking arm to the choking arm side. We have a full claw grip and a half claw grip. Now we have more than that. We can actually go all the way to a submission. There is an arm triangle option there. where we can finish an arm triangle choke, or we can go back into our Kimura seatbelt grip. I'm gonna show that real quick. I'm gonna show the basic arm triangle here. So I'm here, and goes through, beats this. I'm gonna go back to my full claw grip. Okay, my full claw, so the far shoulder. As I do this, my right arm comes over the head, and I'm going head to head. If my head is over here, Adam can pummel his elbow between my head and his head. He might hug my head here, and now there's gonna be no arm triangle. In fact, there's no back escape, there's no back take either. He can pull myself in front of him, and now it's gonna be really hard for me to get behind him. So we're here, Adam passes this arm over. So I drive my left shoulder into the armpit, and I go head to head. Adam tries to get his arm back between me and him, and there's no space. Now from here, I'm going to let Adam escape as I turn belly down. Now you could do this either in side control, or you could keep your leg over in the mount. They're both fine. In fact, I usually start with the mount. So I usually, I'm here, he's escaping, I usually climb up here. And I come up into an arm triangle situation. Let's rotate. So I end up coming up into an arm triangle situation here. There's a number of ways to finish an arm triangle. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I will go through a couple basics. One is that I want the crook of my elbow tight to the neck. So I'm going to finger walk my hand this way, and my right hand is going to push everything deeper that way. So I get nice and tight into the neck. From here I'm going to lock, either palm to palm, wrist to wrist, or figure four. Okay, they're all good. I generally prefer palm to palm or wrist to wrist for most variations. There are some where I'll show figure four as well. So I use palm to palm for now, putting my head into his head. I pummel my foot to side control here, and I start to sprawl my weight down, getting myself heavy. As I do this, I want to walk away from Adam, and I use my left knee in the hip to stop him from following me. And now to finish, I take my left elbow off the floor, and I'm going to bring my left elbow toward my own hip for a good strong choke. So my elbow comes up off the floor, and I pull it, rotating it toward my own hip to close off the space for the choke. That's one good option. So I'm here with my arm triangle. I fed it nice and deep. I get my palm to palm, my wrist to wrist grip. I sprawl my hips, putting my left knee into his hip. My left elbow comes up, squeezing my left elbow to my own hip for a strong arm triangle. Now that finish won't always work. I'm going to show you guys another finish that I do like. Again, this next finish won't always work, but it will almost always expose the back again. So you won't always get the finish, but you'll almost always at least get to the back if this finish doesn't work. Arm triangle situation. I'm here. Now from here, one thing I like to do, I like to lock a figure four, and then to take out all the space, I make a fist, and I shove my fist here between my head and Adam's head to take out some of the space. Now from here, I use my right leg to drive us up to the side, and I tuck my knees underneath Adam's back. Now from here, I'm just going to squeeze like a rear naked choke, and you have a lot of squeezing power there, a lot of power for the finish. Now sometimes, because I push him onto his side away from me and tuck my knees underneath, sometimes people will continue to turn away and open up the neck, but that will almost always give me the back. So when your opponent is escaping the choking arm, they duck under the choking arm to the choking arm side. We punch in that far claw grip. That full claw grip will help me to either submit my partner with an arm triangle, or it will help me stay behind and inside the elbow so I can reclaim the back. And if for whatever reason I can't reach the far shoulder for a full claw grip, then I'll come to the near shoulder for a half claw grip. And I'll use the half claw grip to pick his head up off the floor, re-pummel my choking arm to a good position, and then reassert back control. That's if my opponent beats my choking arm to the choking arms when we're on the choking arm side. Now let's look at a situation where my opponent is beating my control arm when we're on the choking arm side. I've got back control. This time Adam's going to thumb post, exactly, thumb post inside my wrist like so. He pummels his elbow inside, perfect, and I've lost inside elbow position. The problem with this is Adam might slip his elbow to the floor between me and him, his left elbow, and if he can do that, I'm going to lose the back. I'm going to be forced into the mount or forced into side control, something like this, okay? So, Adam thumb posts inside my wrist, he pummels his elbow. I'm going to take this grip off. Now remember, the big thing is I don't want Adam to get his elbow between me and him. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab his head, and I'm going to drive my chest into his own shoulder. I'm going to straighten my body out, pulling myself into him. When Adam goes to bring his elbow back between me and him, it's not easy. Now from here, I'm going to open my right elbow, propping up to my right elbow like so, and I pull Adam's head up. Now from here, I'm going to shoot my right arm back into a good position. You could, actually no, I'm not even going to say, don't go to a choking position, choking arm position. Remember, the problem is we're not inside the elbow anymore. This elbow's too tight. But oftentimes when I sit up and pull like this, the other elbow's a little ways away from the body. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot my right arm underneath the far arm here as I pull my head underneath his head, and I establish my wrist grip here, my rear wrist ride. Now from here, just to make sure I assert control, I usually like to transition to a Kimura seatbelt and just hug him to me nice and tight, just to initially assert my control. And now that I have back control again, I can set my hooks and I'm ready to start attacking. So we fall to the choking side, and Adam clears the control arm. From here, I want to be able to hug the head, so I stay tight to him. I take this grip off, I reach over the head, and I pull his head into my chest as I straighten my body. Now as Adam tries to recover his left elbow position, it's not easy. My elbow comes up, I pick myself up onto my elbow. Now from right here, my hand slides underneath the shoulder, I shoot it through, and I pull his head on top of my own head. I can get my rear wrist ride, go to my figure 4 seatbelt and my Kimura seatbelt, and I once again have control. And now we can start going through for our finishes. So that's if Adam beats the control arm when we're on the choking side. Next, let's look at situations where our opponent is going to beat the upper body, but this time they do it while we're on the control side. So I'm going to be on this side of Adam, we're going to face the front here. Now let's go toward the wall a little bit. Excellent. Now we fall to the side. Once again, Adam might beat my choking arm or my control arm. Let's say he beats the control arm first. He pummels his elbow inside, perfect, just like so. Now, one thing I can do is a seatbelt switch. That's a situation where I go from a seatbelt where my left arm is the underarm and my right arm is the overarm, and I just switch it. My right arm comes under, and my left goes over. Okay, so let's see this in action. I'm right here. Adam beats, just like that. As he has this 2-on-1 control, or I'm sorry, not 2-on, as he's doing this, as he's punching in, and I'm losing that elbow, look at how this elbow's away from the body. I come in behind the elbow, I take this grip, and now I have my rear wrist ride grip. This arm has become a choking arm. It was a control arm when it was underneath his elbow, but once it comes over, the shoulder now it can convert into a choking arm. All that's left is for me to pass my head to the other side of his head. So we have the head trap. And now I have back control, just like we had it on the other side. Choking arm on the bottom, control arm on the top, and we're ready to go through and get our finishes. So that one's really easy, just a simple seatbelt switch. I'm here. Adam, we fall over to the control side. Adam starts dealing with my control arm. This is no good. I have to immediately realize I've lost my control arm. So because I've lost my control arm, I've lost control. I want to immediately reassert control by reinserting and reestablishing a new control arm. Once I have a new control arm, my choking arm is already in position because he passed his elbow to the inside of my arm. So this is now a choking arm. I just need to make sure I have good head position and go through and finish. One more time, let's face the camera more because we're really facing almost away from the camera there. So we're here, Adam falls. When I see him pummel this, I realize I've lost one choking arm, so I establish a new one. And now I pass my head, new choking arm, and we're good to go. Now, let's see a situation where Adam frees, we go to the control side, and Adam beats the choking arm. We're here. Boom, exactly. Just like so. What I like to do here, when I've lost control of the head, let's rotate so I can look at the camera. What I like to do here, when I've lost control of the head, is I like to assert control over the arm with a 2-on-1 grip, with a Kimura grip. So when I feel that he's pulled my arm over, I grab the wrist, I strip the wrist off, and I get a 2-on-1 right here, and I pass off to my own wrist, like so. So now I have a Kimura grip. The beauty of this Kimura grip is when Adam tries to turn to face me, I can lift his elbow off the floor. So even if I let the hooks go and ask Adam to turn and get on top of me right here, it's not easy because he can't get his elbow to the floor. If Adam can get his elbow to the floor, he can base on his elbow and he can turn into me and get on top. Even worse, if Adam gets his elbow to the floor inside my arm, now I have no control over him. He can turn and get it completely on top, and we're going to be stuck here. Okay? So, here, he passes my choking arm over, and so my goal now is to establish a Kimura on this bottom arm. I control the wrist, and I free my right arm initially, just pulling it out. I grab his wrist. Now my left hand releases his wrist, and I grab my own wrist. Now as Adam tries to turn into me, I'm going to glue his hand to his sternum, and I'm going to straighten my left arm to bring his elbow off the floor. Now when he tries to turn and force his way into me, it's very hard if he can't get that elbow to the floor. So I just keep that elbow off the floor, and it's very difficult for him to turn in. Now from this situation, I could look to get a cross wrist and pummel my arm back. Okay? The reason I go with a cross wrist is because he's probably got my arm or something here, right? So I can't just take my arm back to a choking arm position. But if I take that hand off, I can now come back. That's one option. Another option, we're going to see this in future classes relatively soon. I can take my right leg and pass it over the shoulder and cross my ankles. And now I can open my right knee to the floor. And now I'm in a really great position where I can start to separate Adam's arms and go through and get submissions. We're going to be covering these relatively soon. So when Adam beats the choking arm by ducking under when we're on the control side, I control that bottom arm with a Kimura grip, keeping the elbow off the floor, and then it's very hard for him to turn into me. From there, we can either look to reestablish that control, or we can use the Kimura grip to start attacking with something we call a rear top lock. And we're going to look at that rear top lock in the future The rear top lock is when I kick my leg and I pass up over the shoulder, across my ankles, in front of the chest. That's most of the long and short. I do remember there is one other option that I have to show. So we're gonna, and then we'll go into the rear naked choke. So I'm gonna plug this in. I should have shown this earlier. We're gonna go back to the control side, or I'm sorry, choking side. Back to the choking side. I'm sorry guys, my fault. This is out of order now. We're here. Okay, now Adam beats my control arm. Again, thumb post, just like so. And you guys remember, I went through and I controlled the head. Now sometimes Adam's gonna start to split this elbow between me and him. And he starts to try to turn and face me and get on top. As he gets on top, go ahead. I post on the elbow. So he can't get the elbow across my body again. And as he climbs to the top position, I can go to an arm drag, grip, and I can pull this elbow across my body. Now I want to make sure Adam doesn't posture up. So the first thing I do once I get the elbow across my body is I reach over and I grab a grip on the lat muscle. And I perform an E-trip to get off my back more onto my side. And this should be a very familiar position for you guys. We work this in the closed guard as the side scissor. Remember from the closed guard? If I could take 2-on-1 and pass his arm across my center line and solidify with a lat grip, a side scissor, and then we could use the side scissor to start to take him back. We're doing the same thing in reverse order. We start on the back. Our opponent makes it halfway to our closed guard, but as long as we can push that elbow back across our body and not allow it to cross our center line, we can establish a side scissor position like we learned in the closed guard. And then from the side scissor, we could take the back, and then there's a number of other things you can do as well, such as pendulum sweeps and all that. We're not going to get into that this week because those are not back submissions. But if you go back to the closed guard videos, you should see some more options to do from the side scissor. So one more time. I'm here. Adam beats the control arm. I'm trying to not let that elbow between me and him. He's trying to turn and face me, but I'm trying to stay tight to that elbow. As Adam fights for top position, I post on the elbow, and as he gets up, I arm drag, pulling the arm across me. I immediately establish a grip on the lat muscle, so when he tries to posture up and away from me, he can't. And now I'm going to use my side scissor position to heist my hips up off the floor, establish my rear wrist ride grip, and we're once again primed and ready to take the back. From here, I probably put in a power half. And if he rolls to that side, I'm going to go with the Garcia roll. Adam's starting to fight my power half, whether consciously or unconsciously. He starts going to the opposite side. And if that happens, then we go Garcia roll. But again, the big lesson I want you guys to take away is that if at any point your opponent starts to turn and face you, and that elbow starts to creep across your body, stop the elbow, thumb post behind the elbow, arm drag that thing back across your body, never let that elbow get back, and then solidify that position with the lat grip. That lat grip will not only keep his posture down, but also hold you tight to him so he can't get the elbow back. And I'm going my closed guard for the side scissors. So I'm here, when I come up with the lat grip, if I'm just lazy here, Adam can pummel that elbow back between me and him. Good. But what I'm doing is I'm hipping into him. I'm here. Adam goes to bring that elbow back, and there's no space. Now I can prop my elbow, hip heist up around, and work toward the back. The idea is that I'm leaving no space for this elbow to get back across the center line. So we've looked at recovering the lower body position. We've recovered the bottom hook. We've recovered the bottom knee. We've recovered the top hook. We've recovered the top knee. We recovered the choking arm from the choking side. We recovered the control arm from the choking side. We recovered the control arm from the control side. We recovered the choking arm from the control side. You guys have a lot of options for maintaining back control. I showed you what your opponent's going to try to do to get out, and now you guys have all the tools you need to keep him stuck in that position. Now once you have your opponent stuck, they cannot get out, and you have back control for a long period of time, this is where you're going to be able to submit your opponents. We're going to look at a number of submissions throughout the next coming months. We're going to start with the most fundamental of submissions in all of Jiu-Jitsu, the most highest percentage submission there is, the rear naked choke. We're going to start off really easy. In the coming weeks, we're going to look at more intricate grip fighting strategies for trapping the arms and getting the defensive arms out of the way. But let's first make sure you know how to do the basic rear naked choke. Okay? I'm just going to have Adam sit in front of the camera here. And I'm behind like so. We have it. Now imagine my hooks were in, right? I'm just going to do it for my knees just for comfort's sake and for ease sake. Here I have my seat belt. I have my head trap, my head on one side and my choking arm on the other. From here, when Adam goes to defend his neck, my control hand here is going to take away Adam's primary defensive hand. Understand this primary defensive hand is going to be what stops me from getting to the choke. If he takes that hand away, he just puts his wrist, his palm, in between my wrist and his neck, and I go to, so not just the thumb, but like cock your wrist back, and use your thumb too. Yeah. Just put the strongest part of your hand between, my wrist and your neck. And now when I try to get up to the shoulder, it's very, very hard. If he grips like this, and he has his hand like so, I can fight through that thumb, and etc. But when he puts the wrist in the palm of his hand, I'm never gonna get to the neck now, okay? So we need to take that hand out of our way. My hand is going to come in, and I strip that grip off. Okay? In fact, let's look at even better. Let's go 2-on-1. I'm going to show you guys an extra thumb at the wrist. Thumb at the wrist. Yes. 2-on-1. I'm going to show you guys a sneaky little trick here that I like. He's got this 2-on-1. I can't break it. I'm going to go with an S grip, finger to finger. I'm going to pull everything in, smashing his wrist to his chest, and then watch how I'm going to flex my wrists. And then ends up freeing the wrist from the 2-on-1. Now I know he wants to assert a control over my grip again, so I'm immediately going to come here and trap his wrist. This is the wrist he wants, this is the grip he wants to put in between my choking arm and his neck, and I want that hand out of my way. Okay? If he's got 2-on-1, again, I come here, finger to finger, strong grip. I'm just going to pull everything into the chest, and I'm going to roll. It's almost like a little wrist lock. Okay, it's never going to submit him, but it'll get your hand free. You roll that hand through. It's not comfortable, and then I catch the wrist when the hand comes free. Now from here, I'm going to finger walk across the chest. He's going to hold onto my arm here with his left. That's fine. I'm going to use my shoulder muscles to drive my elbow across, and I'm going to finger walk across, making sure to get all the way across the chest, getting the crook of my elbow flush against his trachea. I don't want my forearm on the trachea. I don't want my wrist on the trachea. Rather, I want my elbow to scrape down the chest and across the body until the crook of my elbow, the pocket of my elbow, lines up square to his trachea. That way, my bicep covers one artery, and my forearm, below the elbow, will cover the other. And we have what we call double closure, where we want both arteries closed. So again, I'm here, finger walking across, my hand comes up to the chin. I'm sorry, my hand comes up to the shoulder, reaching back behind the shoulder, and then I cover my hand with my chin. Now when I cover my hand with my chin, I have to release this to go to my figure 4. When I release, and Adam goes up to peel my hand off the shoulder, up here off the shoulder, my chin's in the way, my head's in the way. He can't get to my hand. If I'm here, he can reach up and grab my thumb and strip the hand off the shoulder, and I have to restart. So I go here, chin on the hand. He goes to peel the hand off. Not easy. Now when you go to lock your rear naked choke, don't do this. Okay, everyone, oh, not everyone, a lot of new people grab the arm and try to put the hand behind the head. But when Adam grabs my wrist here, I'll never get this hand back. Okay? So what am I going to do? I'm going to keep my hand short behind the body. I go hand over hand, wrist over wrist, and then I reach for the shoulders. Now from here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to drive my right hand toward my right shoulder as I squeeze my arms for a good finish. If you guys need extra power on the finish, you can use a rotational finish. Let's say I get to a rear naked and I feel like the squeeze, he's got maybe his hands dug in my forearm, like so, and pull down, and maybe I just can't get the squeeze, I can't get the finish. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my right elbow back over Adam's right shoulder, and as he holds on, he's going to pull down my forearm. I'm going to crunch it like to the side. So what happens is my hand gets anchored here, and my elbow starts to pull back over the shoulder, and it cuts off the neck, just like so. You're going to learn in the future. We're going to learn gi chokes, and when we learn gi chokes, one of the big keys is my elbow coming behind the shoulder and hanging off the neck. We're doing the same thing without the gi. If we want to really add maximum pressure. I'm here, and I'm going to try to take my right elbow and pull my right elbow back over the shoulder to crush that, to crush the windpipe, to crush the arteries. Okay, it's very, very, very strong. I come in here, I put in my choke. Adam's going to dig both hands in there on my forearm, nice and strong, pull down on it, nice and hard. I'm going to go to squeeze, pull down. Here, it's hard to get the finish, but I'm going to start taking them back over the shoulder. And once I pull that elbow back over the shoulder, it's pretty strong. Okay? It's a good way to add some extra finishing power in the event that just the bare squeeze isn't getting it for you. I'm going to go over one more important detail. One more thing that'll help you with the choke. Sometimes we're here, eat 2-on-1s. I break the grip, catching. I get my arm across. I release. I go hand over hand, wrist over wrist, and I'm trying to force the rear naked. But Adam is going to push his head back into my shoulder. So now I'm trying to push my hand to my shoulder, but it's not working. I can't get a full rear naked choke, and I'm trying to really push this hand. I can't get it there. Okay? Stop focusing on pushing the hand across and drive your two elbows together. Okay? That'll kind of force the hand into position. When I'm here and I'm trying to push my hand